All right, call this meeting of the top select board to order, May 16th, 2024, from the Donald A. Russell Meeting Room. You all rise and say Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So you know.
Sure.
Sure.
Marie Royan,
Here.
Roland Tufts,
Excused.
Ann Callahan,
here.
Ryan Holmes.
I haven't heard anything.
Okay. So we have a quorum though. So
Yes, we do. Very good. Okay, town manager's report. You're up again.
So just a reminder, town meeting is next Wednesday, May 22nd at 7:00 PM at the Forum Room at Mount Ararat High School. So it is same place it was in November, not where it was last May at the middle school. We have our new electronic sign to aid meeting notices, getting out to the public. It's been completed and it's out in operation in front of Town Hall right now, advertising the town meeting. The fishing rally has been postponed from June 1st to June 15th because it is our understanding there will be many more fish available on that day. And finally, absentee voting for the June 11th elections is currently going on and available at the town office.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Walls? Or no? or Ann, sorry. Excellent. All right, boards and committee reports and updates. We have none tonight. Public comment. Anyone want to speak? All right, correspondence. This will probably be our longest session this evening. We have a variety of correspondence from constituents. I'm going to begin by reading the emails themselves, and Ann, I think you had some potential thoughts on one of them as well, and we can hit that up when we get to that point. So the first one's from Bill Fitzsimmons, May 13th, 2024. Could you please clarify your position on Articles 2 and 21 by answering the following questions? This email was received by all 5 select board members. Exact words. Article 2, number 1, what is the reasoning behind this article? Number 2, who are the intended beneficiaries? Number 3, what is a declared state of emergency? Number 4, who declares it? Number 5, by a 2/3 vote, do you mean 4 out of 5 select board members? Article 21, what is the reasoning behind this article? Who are the intended beneficiaries? What does the phrase, quote, with the approval of the select board mean? End quote, does it mean unanimous, a simple majority, or some other number? Number 4, what happens if the property remains in foreclosure after the close of the fiscal year for which this waiver is granted? Number 5, do taxes and interest continue to accrue during this period? Number 6, who is the town treasurer? I do not see this position listed on the town website. Town Manager Waltz responded. Question, what is the reasoning behind this article for Article 2? Article 2 was added as a result of COVID, when there was fear that people would have their incomes dry up and be in a position where they could not pay their taxes. It hasn't been used, but Murphy's Law says if we didn't include it, you'll end up needing it. To add a little bit of backup there, that was actually something I proposed after hearing from several constituents in the very early days of COVID, when we had no idea what was going on and everyone was home from work. There was a very deep concern that people would be laid off for quite some time. So at the time, we did not have the ability as a select board to waive taxes for a certain amount of time without accruing interest. And so it was our thought that giving ourselves that ability every year in the event something else happens, no one clearly saw COVID coming, so and something else might happen as well, would be prudent. So that way we can actually take action as a board without having to wait until the following town meeting. Who are the intended beneficiaries? If this were used, it would be all taxpayers. They would benefit. What is declared state of emergency? The state of emergency would be declared by the governor, or if it was limited to Topsham by the town manager in consultation with the select board chair. Number 4, who declares it? See above answer. 5, by a 2/3 vote, do you mean 4 out of 5 select board members? If there are no vacancies, then yes. Would need 3 out of 4 if there was a vacancy. Article 21 was the reason behind this article. This is one of the general housekeeping articles. If the town for some reason didn't want to end up in the chain of title for a property before it forecloses, the select board could waive the foreclosure. Beneficiaries are the town's taxpayers. What's the phrase with the approval of the select board mean? A majority or greater. What happens if the property remains in foreclosure after the close of the fiscal year for which this waiver is granted? The town has lost its enforcement mechanism for any lien waived. However, it may be able to foreclose on the next year's lien if there is one. Do taxes and interest continue to accrue during this period? Yes. Who is the town treasurer? Treasurer is whomever the select board appoints. Currently, it's the gentleman to my left. Finally, we received a response back today. Thanks for your quick response to my questions regarding Articles 2 and 21. I wasn't sure of the protocol, so that's why I sent individual emails to the board members. I was hoping to receive individual viewpoints, but I see that they have answered in unison with you. I'm not sure if that's good or bad. My sole purpose in raising these questions is understanding the process that perhaps serve as a stimulus to modify some of the, in my opinion, discrepancies. IMO, that's what, yeah, that's my opinion.
I think so.
All right, fair enough. I would like some further clarification on your response to my question of the intended beneficiaries of Article 2. If the town, as opposed to the governor, were to declare a state of emergency, in quotes, it seems the town should have some definition of what qualifies as a state emergency. There also seems to be a contradiction in the difference between the governor declaring a state of emergency, which would require a 2/3 approval from the Board of Selectmen, and the town of Topsham declaring a state of emergency, which only requires the say-so of the town manager and the Board of Selectmen chair. If I'm interpreting Article 2 correctly, your response that all the town's taxpayers would be beneficiaries would mean that no one would be required to pay their taxes on time and would have a 6-month extension without interest if a state of emergency were declared. Is this really what you mean? Or would it be applied only to individual situations? If the latter, is there some type of review before the extension is granted? If so, what type of review and what's the criteria? Article 21, I don't agree that this is just a housekeeping article. It fundamentally changes the way that liens and foreclosures are handled by the town and has no benefit to the town's taxpayers, as you responded. Help me out here. If the town owns a property via lien due to lack of payment of taxes, does this article mean that the town wouldn't foreclose till the end of the fiscal year? I think there's a grammar issue there. At the end of the year, would the town have the option to postpone the foreclosure again? Does this article have to be reviewed annually at town meeting, or does it become the law? Finally, why isn't the finance director the treasurer? It seems to me that having the town manager and the treasurer be one and the same is a conflict of interest. For example, in the presentation of Article 21. That's the first email. 2 more to go. Let's see. This next one is regarding the vacancy on the school board, May 7th, 2024. To the select board, first, thank you for all your hard work and your service to our shared community. I hold those who perform public service in the highest regard. As a citizen, I am grateful that each of you has agreed to take on this challenging role. I am writing specifically to advocate for Holly Kavanaugh, I think that's how you pronounce it, who has applied to fill the vacancy on the SAD 75 school board. I have personally met Holly and am impressed with her skill and knowledge base. She is an experienced manager, leader, and board member. She has a collaborative and thoughtful approach that will be a great contribution to the dynamics of our current board. Mr. Byrne then goes on to talk about attending school board meetings regularly, and has taught him a lot about challenges that our district faces. It also gives him an understanding of where our school leadership and current school board members could use support. Holly has the right temperament to serve on the board. I believe she will bring a calming and cordial presence to the current board environment. With children in the district, she is known and well respected. Holly is already immersed and active in supporting our school community, so joining the board will be just a continuation of service for her. Talk about some of her qualifications through education. The article's summary. Also, I placed a link at the end of my email from an April 2nd Harpswell Anchor Times record news article. The article is a summary of the district presentation that outlines the challenges our district faces in helping our children deal with the devastating impacts of social media. In the article, Mount Ararat High School Principal Chris Hoffman reports, I don't overstate this when I say that I believe this is the issue of our time, and I will actually support that myself. Get off social media, folks. It is a well-written article that lays out the challenges that the Mental Health Committee has in attempting to mitigate the harm that social media causes to children. Holly's master's degree research project was on the impact that Facebook has on an individual's mental health. The more we learn about social media use, especially in children, the more we begin to understand the areas where we can have a positive impact on shaping our kids' access and usage. Holly would add this deep knowledge to the board just at the right time as we begin to educate the community and shape policy around these areas. I encourage you to read the full article. Holly's education, experience, and skills will make her a great asset to our school board. Her experience as a board member and her profession demonstrates that Holly can be trusted to maintain confidentiality, work through the nuances of policy and budgeting, and be able to navigate working effectively with the public. Thank you for considering appointing Holly to the SAD 75 school board. Sincerely, Jim Byrne, I think I'm pronouncing that right, of Topsham. That is letter number 2. Letter number 3. It's only 1 page, but it's single spaced. Let's see. I think this went to every select board member, correct? Yeah. So this was, addressed individually to each of us, but it's the same letter. We are writing to express a concern for pedestrian safety on Mill Road in Topsham. With a new market basket opening shortly, we are concerned traffic will increase as drivers use Mill Road as a bypass to connect Summer Street and Winter Street. Currently, Mill Road is used by pedestrians, children, families, and pet owners from a few mile radius as a connecting road to the Androscoggin River walking path. Our concerns for safety are based on the following. There's a figure in here, but it's not on the back page.
Right.
That's okay. Non-resident speed on Mill Road to avoid the stoplight at the Elm Street and the Winter Street speed bumps. The intersection of Summer Street and Mill Road is currently labeled as a dangerous intersection. There is a significant blind spot for cars turning right onto Mill Road from Summer Street, potentially causing serious danger to pedestrians walking on the left side, abiding by pedestrian law of Mill Road towards the Androscoggin River walking path. There is a significant blind spot turning onto Summer Street from Mill Road. The only way to see if a car is coming from the right is to pull into the road. Heading north on Mill Road, there is a blind spot right before Walnut Street. This is dangerous for pedestrians walking on the left side of the road. There is a large wooded area at the corner of Mill Road and Summer Street that acts as shelter to wildlife, including deer, fox, turkeys, birds, small animals, etc. We fear these animals will be hit by traffic. We would like to propose for your consideration, one, creating a one-way starting at the intersection of Walnut Street and Mill Road, directed south to Summer Street, and adding a barricade similar to the one at the intersection of Winter Street and Route 201, to prevent traffic from entering Mill Road from Summer Street. Two, adding a crosswalk at the intersection of Mill Road and Summer Street for pedestrians to safely cross the road to go to the Androscoggin River walking path. And three, adding a crosswalk at the intersection of Winter Street and Mill Road to allow pedestrians within the area to safely cross Winter Street on their way to the Androscoggin River walking path. We hope to continue to live in a safe and active neighborhood where children, families, and pet owners can enjoy the beauty of Topsham and walk without traffic danger. Thank you for your consideration. Kind regards, Mill Road residents. Whew, I should have brought some water. Mark, I believe you had some thoughts on that last one?
Sure. I don't know if you want to hear select board Callahan's comments first or I give my thoughts or.
Will they address? Yeah, all right, and go right ahead. You had some thoughts on this. You're muted.
I have to turn my mic off. I did have a couple of questions on this. We got this email from one individual who said that it's the entire area that would like it, the residents of the entire Mill Road. I'd like to know, are all the residents wanting to back this request, or are there neighbors who don't want the one-way street? My second question is, does the town own a car counter that we could put down and see how much traffic is actually on that road before and after Market Basket opens, so we can see if there's any change in traffic patterns? My third question is, wouldn't people be using this route to just go to Target or Home Depot now? I mean, just because there's a new store coming in, they might already be doing this. And four, isn't this request going to simply create more traffic to Maple Street and Bridge Street? Those would be my questions. Those are my thoughts.
So I think those are all good questions. We've got the Public Works Director and the Police Chief here who can address whether or not we possess the ability to count cars. But as far as our response to the letter, our thought is we also have another request for some traffic improvements in Winter Street area that we're going to convene a meeting of the Police Chief, the Fire Chief, the Public Works Director, and the Planning Director, and we'll look at the requests and get their thoughts. We also, I think we may look at Cape Elizabeth has something called a traffic calming ordinance. And it sets standards for when you do particular things so that it's consistent throughout town of when people get speed bumps or don't, or stop signs or whatever it might be. So I think we're also gonna look at that, see if might be some merit in such an ordinance. But does Chief Hagan or Public Works Director Cox have any information on whether we have ability to count cars?
We don't, Mark Hagan, Chief of Police, we don't on the PD. What we could do, as I think about it, is we could put one of our speed signs out there and it counts how many cars go by. I mean, it's not a traffic counter, but we could try that. But right now that sign is broken. So we're probably looking at the beginning of the fiscal year before we can get that up.
Radar sign is broken. Excellent.
We have one more comment.
Oh, yeah, Dennis Cox, Public Works Director. Public Works does not have the ability to count cars.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So Ann, I think to get at some of your questions, we'll have some of the department heads taking a look at it, and I possibly maybe even a site visit, something like that, just to see what's going on.
Right.
Yeah, yep. But I mean, it's a valid point. It would be good to know if this, opinion does reflect the bulk, or not even the bulk, the entire neighborhood, I guess it would have to be, because you'd be doing some pretty significant alterations to the area.
I like the idea of having our department heads checking this out. That's a good idea. And we'll just wait for their report.
Cool, all right. We are done with correspondence, moving on to adjustments to the agenda. Oh, actually, excuse me, did anyone else have any correspondence that I did not receive? Okay, moving on to adjustments to the agenda. We have none that I know of. Right? No. All right, good. Consent calendar, approval of the minutes of the regular select board meeting, May 2nd, 2024.
I do have a question. Matt, it says that you were absent, but you were here with your daughter.
I wasn't here for the meeting, remember? I came for the
Oh,
workshop.
well, toward the
I had
tail
no
end of
idea.
it. But you were
Yeah.
here for the entire executive session.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
I'm not
the-
sure how that works. You were just
Well,
late. You were here
the
before the
minutes-
meeting and you came in late, so I'm not sure how that works in terms of attendance.
Minutes are just a action.
Yeah, it's just at the actual meeting. So technically I was away with,
Okay.
with leave, however, I will say that. But it's a good point. Thank you, Ann.
So you're okay with leaving it as excused?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Let's see. So we had a motion.
Second?
All right, all in favor? Unanimous. So now we have a public hearing. This will be my second one now in two different meetings. So the way this works is I'm gonna gavel us into the public hearing. We will go over a couple of questions regarding an application for a special amusement permit from Dog Ventures, Inc. And I believe we do have someone from Dog here, which is good. And so then anyone on the board who might have a question for the individual whose name I will find out very shortly can make those questions, and then we will open it up for public comment. And if there is no public comment, we will vote on it and then sign this bad Larry. So I'm going to move us into public hearing. We're now in a public hearing. How about that? So, we do have an application for a special amusement permit from Dog Ventures. If you'd like to introduce yourself,
Kayla Ober,
excellent,
Assistant General Manager.
welcome. So Seth finally found someone to kick this to, huh?
Well, I was here last year too. I was like
Okay.
schwitzing because I was so nervous about it. So yeah, now I've got the gig, I think.
Excellent. So I'm gonna go over just a few really, and they may seem obvious questions, but just to get on the record here, obviously the applicant is Dog Brewing Company, which is a Class A restaurant lounge. Location is at 2 Bowden Mill Island in Topsham. Your liquor license expired May 11th, 2024?
What? Is it?
That's old.
Okay.
I was gonna say, this why is that here?
I was gonna say.
Yowza.
Goodness. Okay.
In that case, I have to go.
It's till 25, till 2025.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yay.
Let's see, type of entertainment. Oh, because it's yeah, gotcha. All right, fair enough.
Okay.
Type of entertainment, acoustical singing and trivia. Area for entertainment is the dining room. Nights of entertainment still Sunday through Thursday, 11:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Friday, Saturday, 11:30 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Correct.
Okay. Hours of operation are 11:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. Let's see. Do you move any furniture around during operations?
We tuck a table into the wall, like, so one of the booths kind of gets just shifted to the left.
Is that for like a?
Just so that the guitarist or the
Gotcha.
trivia guy can put their like speaker.
It does here, the license expires in 25.
Size of lounge, 60 by 50. I did have one beef with this, actually. If you look at the diagram that was submitted, it's quite antiquated. In fact, most of the dining room is closed off with doors and called game room. Might be good to update that diagram.
So tell Seth to get a new blueprint.
Yes, or
Gladly.
you could even just like kind of cross this out and say, this is part of
Is
the,
that the one from like when there were stairs going up to the game room by the deck door? That's before my time.
no, the game room is where the buffet used to be, according to this diagram. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's way before my time.
Cool.
No, I have one more question.
There you go. All right. See, it wasn't a complete waste. Size of hall not available. Seating capacity is still 280.
I thought it was 270, but I can clarify that, 270.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Adequate parking is yes. You do have that letter from Town Apartments. Everything is present and accounted for. So yeah, that's all I got for you. Do we have questions? And no. All right. Any comment from the public? Excellent. All right. So we're going to vote to first,
Go out.
yeah, get out of the public hearing, and then we're going to vote on whether or not to provide this license. So I close the public hearing. Done. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to appropriate the application for special amusement for Sea Dog Ventures Incorporated.
Moved. Second. And seconded. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Thanks for showing up.
thanks.
Have a great night. Unless you want to stick around, you're more than welcome.
Is there any way that you can email that thing to set the old blueprint of it?
Yes,
Is that possible?
I think so.
Is that possible? Cool. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. too. Let's see, moving on to unfinished business, we have none. Old business, none. New business, consideration and any appropriate action to put the former K9 Cruiser out for bid as well as the former codes vehicle 23-34.
Good
Sir,
evening, Mark Hagan, Chief of Police. In an effort for fair competition, we would like to open our own used car lot. If select person Berlin doesn't mind. And we have two cars that we'd like to sell. So one is our former K9 car, which is a 2017 Ford Explorer. The other is a 2006 Mazda Tribute that belongs to the Codes Enforcement Office. So we just took the K9 car off the road. We have a new one out now in service. And we chose not to trade it in because of the lag time between getting it built and off the road. And at the time, Town Manager Skrapchansky asked that we also try to sell the Mazda that we have. So what we would like to do is do a closed bid process for 1 month and see what people offer and get these vehicles out of the town lot.
and just to clarify, where would the request for bids be located on the website?
We'll put it on the PD and the town website as far as wherever.
We'll also put it on the public announcements bar right at the front. page.
Cool, perfect.
There we go.
And we're gonna put it in our prior end that comes out in the beginning of June, and then we'll also put it on the Facebook channel.
So. Excellent. Any questions for the chief?
What year is the Ford Explorer?
It's a 2017.
Thank you.
I have no questions. Thank you, sir. So in light of that, I would like to move that we allow Chief Hagan to place the K9 Cruiser as well as the former codes vehicle, which is a Mazda Tribute. Is that what it is?
Tribute. Yeah.
Tribute, out to bid, or closed bid, using in RFP process.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. All in favor?
Thank you all.
Unanimous, thank you, sir. Next up, new business, 24-35, consideration and any appropriate action on nominations for Maine Municipal Association Legislative Policy Committee. So this happens, what, every year?
Yes.
Yeah, where we basically are allowed to move one of our members, if they so choose, to run for the Legislative Policy Committee for the Maine Municipal Association, which is essentially the advocacy organization for towns in Maine. So,
And it doesn't necessarily have to be a select board member, so it could be another member of the town committee if you wanted. So, if you want, what we could do is put out a request to various town committees, see if anyone has any interest, and then we could bring it back to you next meeting if anyone has any interest.
Yeah, when is the due date?
Has to be submitted by June 12th, so you'll be able to act on it in your first June meeting.
I think that sounds like a great idea.
Okay. Then we will, so you move to table this. then.
I make a motion to table item 2435 until the next meeting.
Second. All right, all in favor? Unanimous. Excellent. Item 24-36, consideration and any appropriate action to amend Article 7, Section C, subsection 1D of the personnel policy. Mr. Waltz, would you care to illuminate?
So, currently the Maine State Retirement System, or now it's called Maine PERS, has a penalty that's put on if you have a person that retires under the system, then returns to work for another participating local district. So, for instance, I retired from the Brunswick Police Department, so then because I'm working here in a position that would normally be covered by the Maine PERS system, there's a 5% penalty of my pay that has to be paid to Maine PERS. I guess it's somewhat of a token admission that the system isn't completely funded properly. Because theoretically, if all the contributions were actuarially calculated to cover all the benefits, you wouldn't need extra current money from employees to cover it. The fee could be 5% or whatever. There's an actuarial number they calculate. It's been 5% for the past, but it isn't necessarily will be that in the future. So that's why we haven't pegged it just at 5%. Our town personnel policy says that the employee has to pay that. So, which would still be under our proposal here, but we'd like to have the option so that the town manager and the employee, if they decide it's mutually beneficial to the town and the employee, could reduce the employee's pay by 5% and then the town would pay it. What that would accomplish is it saves the town money because the town isn't paying employment taxes, social security, FICA. And to the extent the town matches a contribution to the ICMA or the Mission Square, they'd be matching less of a contribution if we reduce the employee's pay. So the example I gave, if the salary was $105,000 a year, but the employee and the town agreed to reduce it to $99,750, so it gets reduced by the 5%, both the employee and the town would make out about $1,000 better, because the employee has to pay income taxes on that money too, both state and federal, as well as their half of Social Security and Medicare. So what we're asking is the ability to amend the personnel policy to allow the flexibility that instead of, in essence, the money being paid to Maine PERS out of the total pay afterwards, it can be taken out by a reduction in pay in advance. So the employee is still the one bearing the benefit of paying that 5% to Maine PERS, but it saves both the town and the employee money if we do it by reducing the employee's pay as opposed to paying it off as a payroll deduction of the higher amount.
Thank you, Mark.
It's too confusing or?
That was scintillating. Questions? And good?
I hear all these payroll questions and I think, do we really need to have a payroll manager, a human resource manager at some point?
And we do, because it's just divided between multiple people. Like Rose does a lot of the onboarding. Brandy does a lot of the electronic parts of it as she does payroll. Kathy has parts that she oversees, and then I've got parts that I oversee, and the assistant manager does parts. So we've got 5 people kind of all doing pieces as we go.
It's just something to consider. But it's not directly related to this question.
To amend Article 7.
I was just asking a good questions, but yeah, by all means, go right ahead.
Right, okay. No question.
And I think if you wanted to save having to read it all out loud, you could use the proposed motion be that you have proposed to amend it as stated in the memo from the town manager dated May 6, 2024.
Okay, to amend Article 7.
Yep.
Section C1D of the personal policy as stated in
May 6, 2024 memo from the town manager.
Second,
Six.
second,
That's, all right, moved and seconded. All in favor? Okay, unanimous. Moving on. Penultimate. 24-37, consideration and any appropriate action to authorize the town manager to execute on behalf of the town the proposed amendments to the Mission Square 457 plan as set forth in the April 26th correspondence documents provided by Mission Square.
So this is another, basically benefit or payroll issue that came up. We had an employee that had rolled some money from another employer into our 457 plan, which is similar to a 401k plan of private business. The employee wants to be able to take that money out to invest it somewhere else in an IRA. But our plan does not allow that. So if you were to approve this tonight, that would now be a possibility or could be done. What that does not allow is people to take out money while they're still working here, because that would be an issue for the IRS acceptance of our plan. So this is just money that was rolled in from elsewhere, could get rolled out. The other thing we'd like to do at the same time that we're doing this is we'd like to be able to offer a Roth option to the 457 plan. So this would allow people, if they want, to pay the taxes up front and then never have to pay it again in retirement. If this is allowed, the town's match still would go into a traditional non-Roth portion of the 457 plan because it has to. And then the last thing is the federal government recently changed the law on when you can take distributions and remain in service. So now the federal government allows it if the employee is at least 59 and a half to take it in service distribution, meaning someone that has money in our 457 plan and works past that age could take, they're gonna have to pay the taxes on things, obviously, but they could take withdrawals from it and continue to work for the town. So if you would like to authorize or amend our plan to allow these things, there's a proposed motion there. I'm happy to answer any question.
Who would be keeping track of what the external contribution would be versus, like, because it would be rolled into the same account, right? So you'd have to somehow be keeping track of like what.
I see,
came from previous
I see
job.
that. Yeah, we don't keep that. It's the, why we pay them to
Gotcha.
keep track of that stuff.
Okay. And you got questions? Marie?
No question.
All right, well, I'm going to move to amend Article 7, Section C, subsection 1D, the personnel policy as follows.
And then it's the last one. What this one?
No, that's right.
You're no longer the.
Thank you. Is it?
Yes.
457. All right, fair enough. I'm gonna rescind that motion and propose a new one. To authorize the town manager to execute on behalf of the town proposed amendments to the Mission Square 457 plan as set forth in the April 26th correspondence documents provided by Mission Square.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Excellent. All right, final item, 24-38. Consideration and any appropriate action to authorize the town manager to enter into an agreement on behalf of the town to accept Sebago Technic's April 16th, 2024 Pleasant Point Road proposal as revised on May 6th, 2024 for a fee not to exceed $77,000. Sir.
Good evening, Dennis Cox, Topsham Public Works Director. The town went out with an RFP to approximately 10 engineering firms to solicit conceptual solutions to the rising water and future rising water of the Maribyrnong Bay and the damage being done to our road in that area. The RFPs, we only get 2 RFPs back out of the 10, and they were considerably higher than we anticipated. So the committee of myself, the town manager, planning director, and a representative from the Mid-Coast Council of Governments sat down and reviewed the proposals and found some areas that we thought might be able to reduce the cost of the community. So we met with each of the 2 firms and went over their proposals with them, and then asked them as well to look through the proposals that they had for us, their RFPs, and see if there were some potential areas to save. So we went from the Wright Pierce, who was at $97,164, and Sebago Technics, the other group, was the other engineering firm, was $95,000 even. The recommendations made by the individual companies reduced Wright Pierce to 79,664 and Sebago Technics to 77,000. We reviewed the changes that the firms recommended in the committee form again, and found that Sebago Technics recommendations were acceptable to us, and I'd like to just review those. They're willing to do the survey work in-house, so they have their own survey group rather than having, like, Wright Pierce is gonna contract that work out. So they could work in-house and expedite that survey, because that's what's a large portion of this RFP was the survey work, so we can identify the areas of concern. The proposal was also very flexible. They were willing to do some preliminary reviews with staff in-house first, so that they could better understand our concerns today already, rather than go out and learn what the concerns were. You know, we know what some of the concerns are, so we hope we can save some time there and some cost for the engineering work. We also revised the proposal in areas where, grant research, the grants could be, researched by the Mid-Coast Council of Governments rather than the engineering firms doing that work. And also the utilities coordination, because there's very few utilities on that road. There's no sewers, there's no water lines in the road, so we don't have those types of utility concerns to have to study alternatives to locations and things like that. The third item was a complex graphics for presentation. We felt as a committee that at this point in the engineering work, we didn't need to pay to have a real nicety type proposal. It'd be more of the nuts and bolts, and we can get into a presentation and a graphic type of scenario in the future. Right now, we're kind of working with the nuts and bolts and see what our options are like, and then we can meet with the folks that live down there, meet with staff in-house here, and come up with a bigger plan, and then move forward with a presentation for the town folks. After doing this, the committee recommends to work with Sebago Technics moving forward, because they were approximately $2,000 less money than Wright Pierce.
Out of curiosity, Dennis, do you remember who the nature-based solution consultant for Wright Pierce was?
GZA.
Oh, geez, yeah. Interesting.
Again, that was kind of unique, because they're subbing some of that work out, and that's why the costs were, I think, and that's why, like, going in-house with the Sebago Technics and then having their in-house survey group work with us seemed to be a cost savings for us. You know, we saw that as a cost savings and advantageous because of the shorter time span that they could prioritize that survey work, or otherwise you'd be like contracting out, waiting for their schedule and that type of scenario.
Yeah, you're paying for fees for, that would be 3 different consultants versus just one. So everyone will roll the fee. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I think this looks good to me. Questions from the board?
I just want to say thank you, Mr. Cox, for the work in getting this negotiated down a bit too, and seeing the nuts and bolts pictures. That was really helpful to us as a community.
You're welcome, but the committee did a big share of it. It was, I may be representing it tonight, but the 4 of us worked hard at it, because we did see that we were well over budgeted and concerned about that.
Well, thank you.
Were you good?
I'm good.
All right. Ann, would you like to throw a motion out there?
I would be happy to. I'd like to make a motion for the town manager to enter into an agreement on behalf of the town to accept Sebago Technics April 16th, 2024 Pleasant Point Road proposal as revised on May 6, 2024 for a fee not to exceed $77,000.
Okay.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, and I think I need you to make one more motion if you would.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded, all in favor? Excellent.
See you next week.
Right.